welcome to Sharing Hope. I'm your host, Jamie George, and with my good friend, Mr. Ethan Hulse. If you've listened to Christian music at all in the last 2 or 3 years, then more than you've listened to Ethan's music, because pretty much in the top 10, Ethan's got half the songs there. He's a writing phenom. If you've heard of Jeremy Camp or Zach Williams or Tauren Wells or Danny Gokey or Rita Springer, he's written with all. And, of course, he's a musician in his own right. He's a worship leader. He has been nominated for 3 Grammys, so he calls himself a 3-time Grammy loser. Is that what you say?
Yeah, a Grammy Award losing songwriter.
I love that. But the guy, he just has a gift. He won BMI Songwriter of the Year last year, and just the favor that God's had on your writing and on you as a person. He's a gem of a human being. He's got an incredible family. Thanks for hanging out with us, Ethan.
Man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
So fun.
So as soon as we got on, I was like, I got to hit record because I'm so anxious to hear. Been following along. Your wife just gave birth to a child, and it's been a little nuts.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So fill us in on how she's doing.
More than it normally would be, I think. Yeah,
yeah. I guess that's it, right?
Yeah. First of all, like having a kid
it's your first one.
Is our first kid, yeah, and has been so fun. And you think you were the one who told me it's like there's a little piece of your heart that opens up. It is so true. There's also dad instincts I didn't know I had that just start happening, and you're like, wow, like crazy. The strength that you didn't know you had, endurance and that you need that you didn't know you had, and it's kind of amazing what God does. But something too that like having a kid, the best way to describe it is that every cliche that everyone's ever is true, and that has been true. It's like it's the hardest thing ever, and it's the best thing ever. So we've experienced all that stuff, which is great. But yeah, these past few weeks have just been really pretty crazy around here. We live in East Nashville. We've been in this part of town for 2 years. We lived in the Franklin area for about 3 before that. But just about a month ago, we were down in our basement while a tornado was coming right over our house. Friends of ours just streets over. He's just wrecked, it's pretty crazy, which
for those who didn't hear, the Nashville tornado a month ago obliterated homes. I mean, it was
flattened some, and we luckily our friends haven't had that, but have had damage to their home roofs that are that are severely damaged and stuff like that. And it's just been, it was pretty heavy, that before like a week before Porter is our son, his due date, so we were having family come in that day, which just made it kind of crazy. And then this whole pandemic thing now, which is a whole other thing. So if the pandemic wasn't like apocalyptic enough, we're like driving around East Nashville, our neighborhood, and it's like no one's out, but it also looks like a war zone.
Right. Yeah.
So it's particularly strange, and it's hard to know what is just normal newborn exhaustion craziness and what is the like we're cooped up at home, we're sort of trapped, we can't escape the feelings and the stuff that starts to come up when you've been in the house for weeks and weeks. It's been a really interesting time.
Challenging.
What's that?
Aaron's labor was challenging.
Yes, right? That's the other thing. It was a very traumatic birth story. Yeah, so it was like, without going into every detail, it was like ruptured placenta and then uterus kind of thing. And so it was that whole emergency C-section thing. But I think looking back on it now, there was so many of those things that, like, if one thing went wrong, could have been life-threatening. If one thing went wrong, she could have lost her uterus, never been able to have kids again. Like, so all these things, it just, it was pretty wild. And for the first 24 hours, she couldn't be with him. It was just me and Porter in the hospital, which was a weird terrifying thing as a new dad who it's really interesting because I've actually thought I was mostly afraid of the first few months of having. I was going to feel helpless. Like mom was going to know how to do everything instinctively. And I was just going to feel helpless. What do I do? What's odd is that like in that moment, I had to snap into this other mode of like,
wow,
I don't know how long Aaron's recovery is going to have to be. Like, it's going to be probably more intense than we realize. It just changed everything all of a sudden. Like I had to,
it's you. It has to be you.
I had to step up. Yeah. And that's when all those like instincts and things that I didn't know I had just started rising up. They just started happening. And it was pretty crazy. But all that being said too, with all of these sort of traumatic things that have happened over the past month too, we're doing the best we can to just like allow grace for each other. There's just moments where there's just emotion. Like there's just something will trigger me, right? Like we'll watch a movie or something. This is normally when I cry. I have a hard time crying in present moments, but then when I am in something where I can like put myself into a story, it just like triggers me, and I'll just go into, I'll just start crying like crazy. And I think we're just trying to allowing just more grace than normal, I suppose, just because I think we're carrying those traumas in our body and trying to survive newborn. So there hasn't been a ton of space to,
right.
We're just, it's crazy. But anyways.
Well, there was no question in my mind you were going to make an amazing father, and it's how wild
thanks, man.
that God just went, well, we're going to just kick this off the top and get you through any of those hesitations you might have had.
I know. We just keep thinking, just a side note too, like just so you know a little bit about my son's personality already, is that part of the uterus ruptured was they made the incision for the C-section, and the first thing the doctor sees is his arm popping through. He punched through her.
Holy cow! He's like, I'm coming out now.
Yeah, he's just like warrior child. It's insane. So it's crazy, man. Yeah, he wanted to be into the world pretty bad.
Yeah, he's ready to see his dad.
He's ready to get out. Yeah,
I like that.
It's crazy.
Well, I would have you had any time to write? I'm assuming no. I mean,
I just started doing some sessions again. About, I guess, what is time right now? It's crazy. I think about 2 weeks I've been doing sessions, but it's not a full schedule. I'm kind of trying to.
Is that therapeutic for you to just kind of slowly get back into that?
Yeah, it is actually. I've felt. I mean, I love what I do. It's felt really good. I love finishing a thing every day, right? Like we write a song a day usually, and it's like that's been a good rhythm to get back into. I will say, for as much as everybody during this quarantine time is just going, I've got all the time in the world. I do not feel like I have all the time in the world. I feel really busy right now, oddly enough, but especially after going back to work. But yeah, it feels good to finish a song every day, right? Like to go do that. I also have found a little bit of the moments in between, just sitting at the piano, especially before I was going back to work, and like special songs start coming out. I mean, just so people know too, like normally what I am doing is writing for other artists. I think there's been like some moments in between where I'm like, I read a thing and it feels personal to me. And I kind of, I try to pay attention to those things when I'm like protective over a song, and then other times I thing and I'm like, for this person, but there's been a couple of those moments too.
Is it almost like a sacred feeling, like you're kind of like it is you connecting with God, this kind of connection with the divine, like something about this has something on it.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And music's always been like that for me. As you know, I've worked at a church for 8 years. I grew up in the church stuff. There has been through different seasons, things you see behind the curtain, you grow cynical about certain things and whatever. But worship music and just music in general as an expression to God. It has always been a way that defeats cynicism, that kind of that breaks through to my core easier. Like it doesn't, I can't, I can't get around it as much.
Ignore. Yeah. Like, no, I
Yeah.
can't deny the fact that God is real, and apparently he's using his people for something.
Yeah. And I will say, like, since moving to Nashville years ago, writing professionally, like there is a grieving of what music becomes to you when it is your everyday work,
Yeah.
And you find yourself like, I've been in a song all day long. The last thing I want to do is like listen to songs.
Right.
So it has been good to at times to find different rhythms, and good to disconnect for a little while from writing every single day. And that is when you find those little moments again. I had one recently where it was like late at night, holding a child who is screaming and not, I don't know how to console. We've done everything to console him, and I'm sitting and I just start playing the piano, and he goes quiet.
Whoa.
And I start, and this little song popped out. It was like, felt like it was like singing a lullaby from like God the Father to me, but I was singing it to my kid. It was just like this. So those are those little moments where I'm like, oh, those are, something special is happening in those, in like the in between things like that. So,
man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. One of the questions I've been asking folks is, hey, people are dealing with uncertainty, dealing with questions.
Yeah.
They're struggling with anxiety. That you and I have spent enough time together. We both have, right? We both struggle with the different seasons. Sometimes almost disabling anxiety.
Yes.
Could you, a word of encouragement to somebody who's out there who's going, I got a lot of fear, and the unknown has me paralyzed. What would you say as an encouragement? Just what did you learn in those times, and how are you different because of it?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things is when about 2 years ago, when I had my first like real panic attack, it felt as if fear and anxiety were very familiar friends, but never really like gone out of control, or like betrayed me in the way that it felt like they were.
That's a good way of
in
saying
that
it.
moment, where it was just it went beyond my control, and it was very scary. There was like physical things where I felt like I was dying or something, and I didn't really even know what to call it. My wife was the one who kind of helped me name, I think this might be panic attacks. I think this might be anxiety. I think you might have, you know what I mean? And it helped me. So I will say, one, that helped a ton.
Naming.
And even still, like, because I will say it hasn't gone away fully. We were down in the basement when the tornado was going over, and I was having a panic attack, and I hadn't in a very long time. So it felt defeating for me in some ways. That's a whole other thing. But naming it, I did. I named it. I was like, Aaron's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I am having a panic attack." Just even saying that lifts just a little bit of it off my shoulders. Okay, I know what this is.
Yeah.
Then, I will say that some of the most profound learnings for me with fear and anxiety, uncertainty, and in facing it is that by avoiding it and denying it, you make it bigger. So naming it is the start, and then also like I don't know if it's I want to say like befriending it almost. And I don't mean that in like an acceptance kind of way, but I mean in a, I heard it described, I think Liz Gilbert does this, talks about if your life is you driving in a car and you've got these emotions with you and these things that come with you in life. She's like, fear is a friend. Fear has kept you alive. It is good, and I thought I did have to realize that even with panic attacks, is that
it's telling you something.
It's telling you something.
Yeah.
It feels wrong. It feels like everything's wrong. But like in hindsight, I go, oh, I'm so thankful that my body was telling me something that I needed to pay attention to in my life, that I needed to change in my life. But yeah, she goes, yeah, fear is a friend, and fear can come along for the ride with life. It is not about eliminating fear out of your life. It's about putting fear maybe in the way back of the car. It's like, fear, you can come along with me in this ride, but you don't get to sit up front. You don't get to tell me where to go. You don't get to pick the music. You don't get, you know what I'm saying?
That's so good.
It has helped me so much to change my perspective in that way. And I do think I grew up in a particular type of Christianity. It's like, if you feel bad things, pray, and God will eliminate these things. And it's about eliminating them. You know what I mean? It's bad, and you're bad for feeling them.
Yeah.
And so,
which is kind of contrary to what, Paul, referencing the Bible, who's like, man, I got this thorn in my side that just won't go away.
Yeah.
I got to learn to live with this thing.
Yeah, and what Jesus shows us in like the path of the cross and that path of suffering and going into the pain, and so I noticed a lot of things of me avoiding those things in my life for years. So I mean, and I don't know if everybody's at this place with the quarantine thing too, or the, this uncertain time that we're living in, but it is forcing us to look at things, which is not fun, but it might be something that we look later and go, wow, like that was a turning point, or like that was the moment where I couldn't escape myself. Right. And I had to look at fear right in the face. You know what I mean?
Like, there's a global collective, like, we all don't have a choice but to have a certain kind of self-reflection.
Yeah. It's bound to cause some changes, in people's lives. I mean, we're already talking that we have friends that are having, it's like couples in lockdown that are having that are going through something for the first time that they haven't, because they're faced with this thing, and they're homeschooling them and trying to work and do everything, and that's crazy. I have friends who are, single and really lonely and looking at their addictions and the alcohol problems and things like that. And I'm just noticing these things happening. Again, don't feel good right now, but I think they will prove to be turning points, in people's lives. Yeah.
So good. Is there anything in your life that used to matter a whole lot that doesn't matter quite the way it used to, or reverse? Is there anything that that matters more?
Good question. First thing popped in my mind was, and this is interesting, probably right around 2 years ago when some of the anxious stuff was happening for me for the first time, was right. And this, I actually felt for a little while, was right when things were starting to take off in my career. And I found myself, I mean, I don't mean to sound super cliche, but I did find myself caring a lot about what people thought. And also feeling this immense amount of pressure that I was putting on myself to be what I thought everyone wanted me to be for them. I am a 2 on the Enneagram, if anybody knows Enneagram stuff. And so that people pleasing thing, what people think of me, not letting people down, has been it's been an issue in my life. It's been a thing that I've cared way too much about.
Yeah. I can relate to that too. I understand.
Yeah. So I feel, I'm not completely like, but I think I've been making steps since that point. And again, there was kind of breaking points of like holding that pressure, and it kind of amounting to panic at different moments that you will let people down here and there, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. It's okay to let go of some of those things. So I am in a process of slowly letting go of that.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. You and me both. Is
Yeah.
there something when the quarantine does break that you and Aaron have talked about? You're like, this is what I'm really looking forward to, or I'm hopeful for X.
Well, one of the weirdest things right now is that nobody's met our child.
Oh, yes.
It's very weird.
That's
we have friends.
so strange. You're right.
It's so strange. And I mean, one of the things too is that we named him now after my grandmother, Gloria Porter, and we really want to go to California and be with family and have him meet his family.
Yes.
Which is where my wife and I are both from, California, Orange County, and so that's a thing. And I actually don't know when that's going to happen soon, because even when this thing is lifted, I don't know when travel is going to become more normal. So there's some sadness from that for us. So, but we're looking forward to that day when we can get to California, be with family, and have him be held by his aunts and
pass
uncles,
him around, right?
His great grandma, and all that stuff. So
yeah, well, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So back to writing again. Anything that's coming up that you can tell us about? Any projects or anything? I mean, I know so much of the. I've been talking to so many of our friends, and so much is on hold. So there's so many question marks about everything, of course.
Yeah.
But any songs coming out or any projects you're working on we can hear about?
Yeah, I mean, the one that comes to mind, the Bethel live album is coming out, and I spent a ton of time with a lot of their writers and artists, and I'm really excited about the songs on there.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. They change the lineup of the songs every now and then, but I think there's 4 of the songs that I've wrote on there, and there's a few that are out now. Corey Asbury has one called Egypt that's going to be on there. I think it's a really cool song, and I got to be part of that one. Josh Baldwin has a song called My King Forever that's coming out. I believe that's coming out tomorrow, his live version. What is today?
Today's the 20th. 20th.
Never mind, it's coming out Friday.
I've been having trouble keeping track too.
Oh man, I have no idea.
Now, if you ask me what day it is, is it Monday or Tuesday? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But so that I'm really excited about those songs. And worship songs are a great antidote to, like I said, they go to the core. They help they get past some of the cynical mind that I live in sometimes, and it just helps me connect with God, which is just something we need more of in this time.
That's so good.
Yeah.
You don't happen to have your guitar nearby? You want to play us a song or anything? Does it
have it nearby? Do you want me to? I don't know.
Heck yeah!
Put me on the spot, bro.
I know. I meant to tell you that ahead of time. By the way, I might ask if you want to play a song, and you don't have to. If you got to go, I don't know if Aaron's waiting for you.
Well, that will be. I could do something and send it to you too. Either way.
Yeah. Just send me something.
I'm trying to think.
Or you could play the lullaby I did the other. Maybe that might be too.
Ooh, for you. That's not finished.
Yeah. Okay. There's a songwriter for you right there. Yes.
I know. We're always, dude. I tell people that all the time. So much of what we do is like, I tell people it's like maybe 20% songwriting, and 80% is this like, when do you show the label this thing, and hang on, we got to hang on to this, we got to tweak this here. It's all,
there's such a dance to it.
Yeah, it's all like scheming and strategies and all this stuff. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, good. Well, we'll look forward to Corey's song and Josh's song this week.
Yeah.
That's great. And keep writing, brother. So
thanks, man. I will. I can't not.
Yeah.
It's become so much of my outlet, and just it's my life, man.
Yeah. Well, we're all beneficiaries for it. So thank you.